Hey, what is going on, guys? This is Noah.
And Alyssa.
And we are here doing a review of the fourth Kodaline album titled One Day at a Time. Yes, you get 2 videos from us in 1 week because a very special album came out. Kodaline is both of our not favorite bands, it's her favorite band.
My favorite band,
yeah,
for sure.
But Kodaline's absolutely in my top 5. I absolutely love Kodaline, but it never is. But I wanted to review the album with Alyssa since she's the one that got me into Kodaline, and because she's been with Kodaline for so long, I wanted her to introduce the band, tell you guys about their history, and stuff like that.
Okay, so as he said, Kodaline is my favorite band, for sure. I started listening to them freshman year of high school in like 2015. I found them through just a random fan-made video for a show called Supernatural. The song High Hopes, but anyway, whatever. I've loved them ever since, basically. So for their past albums, they have 3 before this one. The first one, they started out with this like folky kind of sound, very soft pop, I guess. I don't know. Love it. Love that album. Great album. Him and my brother say it's their best.
Absolutely.
I agree to an extent. Their second album, Coming Up for Air, their first one's In a Perfect World. Their second album, Coming Up for Air, is more of rocky
pop rock
sound. I also love that one a lot.
Moves away from some of their more simplistic arrangements for a more bombastic, rocky kind of sound, and moved away from that like much more or like acoustic-y sound that goes throughout a lot of their first album.
Well, I personally love that one also a lot.
Very good.
It's so good. I go back and forth all the time on which one, In a Perfect World or Coming Up for Air, is my favorite because it's just, they're both so amazing. Their third album, Politics of Living, kind of moved away from all of that sound and went more towards a poppy kind of thing. I still like it a lot. I like a lot of the songs off of there, but album-wise, it's definitely lacking in terms of Kodaline. But their fourth album just came out, as everyone knows from this review, and it's.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Okay.
We got to talk about. Okay, so
sorry, I just love Kodaline so
much. For starters, let's talk about the singles to the album. The lead single, Wherever You Are, is a song that both of us really love. It stands up. I'm having a hard time with this camera today, mainly because I keep looking at you.
We need like a
selfie stick. Yeah.
I wonder if Laura has one.
But what was I saying? Wherever You Are is a great song. It's got a lot of that bombast from the second album that I was talking about. It really actually does sound somewhat similar to that album. I got demoted. In that sense, it's just got a ton of energy, and it's just about, following someone wherever they go. Just a really solid song. After that, they released the single Sometimes and Saving Grace, and for me, before I pass it back to Alyssa, for me, both of these songs weren't bad. Actually, I really sometimes grew on me a lot. Basically, in short, a song about anxiety, and it's got, I guess it's a ukulele, and so like how most people feel about ukulele songs, kind of cheesy and dorky and but it grew on me quite a bit. But for the rollout of this album, I wasn't loving it. Same for Saving Grace. They were fine songs. They were good songs. Just not with the just not to the quality that I expect with this band. So Alyssa, what did you think about the single rollout?
Wherever You Are, great song, love it. It had a very similar, their lead single on their last album was a song called Follow Your Fire, and Wherever You Are had a very similar effect on me that Follow Your Fire did, where I just heard it and I just got so excited because it just reminded me so much of why I loved Kodaline as a band, and it's just amazing song with just everything about it is just so good. I love Wherever You Are. I think the first time I heard it I cried. Do you recall this?
Probably. I feel like you did for sure with Saving Grace.
Yeah. The next two, so Sometimes came out, and it actually reminded me a lot of what was on Politics of Living. It's probably the most similar in style to what they were doing on that album. And since that album was my least favorite of the others, I wasn't as excited for it. I was like, okay, well maybe this will not be so as good as I'm hoping. But then Saving Grace came out, and this is where I think Noah and I disagree the most, because I love Saving Grace. I don't like it as much as Wherever You Are, but I do think I cried on that one for sure too.
So obviously, for her, she was still super excited, and I was too, being just a big Kodaline fan. But I was apprehensive going into this album because I felt it might be a little Politics of Living-y, and I like Politics of Living. For those who saw my review, I probably soured on it a little more. I think I may have given it a 7.5. I'd drop it down, but honestly, it depends on the day. Some days I love it, some days I'm neutral on it. So I kind of go back and forth, but so I was apprehensive with this album, and I gotta say, honestly, I think that my apprehension was unwarranted, because I think that this does stand out in their discography. It's a good album. Sonically, it sounds, Alyssa and I have kind of agreed that it sounds the most similar to, getting a little dark, sorry, it sounds the most similar to In a Perfect World, their first album, just because it's got a lot of that really organic, I don't even know how I'd necessarily describe it. There's just a lot of atmospheric kind of sounds that they do really well in the first album, and it continues again in this album, and that's something I really appreciate. Though we also think that it does still have the Politics of Living aspects, and I think that mainly comes through in the lyrics. So do you want to explain?
Yeah, so the lyrics and I tried to get an example before we started this video, but I got distracted and didn't. But their lyrics from their first two albums, they'll just, like a lyric will just come across and I will just be like, God, that just felt like I just got punched in the gut. But with Politics of Living, they're more cheesy, more simple kind of lyrics that just don't, I think you said it very well the other day, are just singing about nothing, kind of. Didn't you say that, or was that?
Probably.
I think, yeah, well, they're just lyrics that are just kind of there.
Yeah.
But, so lyrically, this album is kind of similar to Politics of Living, in that they can be a little cheesy at times, and they're simpler. They don't really have that kind of like,
I think
just
that,
punch you in the face.
Not to steal from your fire, but something I thought of while you were talking was, I think the big difference is whenever you listen to Politics of Living, you get a lot of you're able to sum it up in one sentence. This is a song about following your passion. This is a song about caring for those around you. Whereas just a specific song that I thought of while she was talking, like a song from their first album, After the Fall, an incredible song, both musically but lyrically. It's dealing with topics about it's like, this is my inability to put it into words also is fitting, but the chorus, I hate to say that this is for the better, I just want you to know I can't go on forever. It's one of those songs that has a lot more emotions built into it than just a simple, like, this relationship isn't working.
Yeah.
Because that song's a lot about wanting something to work so desperately bad, but being unable to make it. to make it so. And I think that's the biggest problem with Politics of Living is the simpleness of a lot of the emotions, which, like we said, carries over into this album.
I feel like why it isn't quite so Politics of Living is that it does kind of go back to being almost like depressing at some points. And not that a song has to be sad in order for it to be deep or good or any of that kind of stuff. But I feel like what they were trying to do with Politics of Living was just be really uplifting and happy, and then this one kind of went back to where they started, and I feel like, and they do get better at the talking about nothing. It's not quite so.
Well, and even musically, it definitely improves, because musically, the first album is still my favorite, regardless. The second album is a much more accessible album. It's one of those albums, she said it earlier, that you'd quickly put on and just want to listen to a single song. Not to say that the album doesn't work together, but it's one of those albums that you just throw on because you're wanting to have fun, whereas the first album's so much different. It is very sad, but it's genuinely incredible. So with this album, it has a lot of the sounds from the first album, but it's not all, you're able to separate them all. So I want to talk about some of the songs that are really good in this. We both mentioned Wherever You Are. I don't feel like we need to talk about that anymore. The last three songs, Heart Open, Everything Changes, and In the End, those are also three incredible standouts.
Right.
I will just say In the End's probably my favorite song on the whole album. It is so good. It's just a song about things ending, but it's just genuinely great. The first verse, the narrator's singing about like how he got swept up in fame, and then, but it's such a easy lyric. I'm doing fine. It's such an easy lyric, but we forgive, we forget, and we move on. Something about the way that Steve Garrigan delivers that line in this song, oh, it's such a gut punch. And Everything Changes and Heart Open are both solid piano pop, piano ballads. They're great. Honestly, Everything Changes, I kind of compared to Gavin DeGraw. I made that comparison while we were last listening to it. It sounds like a great Gavin DeGraw song, which is not an insult. I love Gavin DeGraw. Just got that strong piano pop sound. Do you have anything you want to add about the favorites?
Yes, I do. I have not decided on what my favorite song is, but I do agree in that it's those last three are just so good.
Yeah.
I feel like that's most of how I'm reviewing this album is just.
It's so good.
Just Kodaline in general is just so good.
We love Kodaline.
No, but seriously, those last, in the end, amazing. I know.
There's two bunnies running in the street.
But I love all of them for different reasons. We already talked about Wherever You Are. Heart Open, there's like, the chorus of it is just, I really love that one specifically. Everyone Changes?
Yeah, Everyone Changes.
Everyone Changes, I love just like the sound of it. It's
very catchy.
It's a very catchy song. It's very emotional, I feel like. I mean, you might not agree.
No.
But it's just.
I mean, it's about a relationship falling apart and dying.
Yeah, it is. But that one is catchy. It was the first one I knew all the lyrics to that wasn't one of the singles. It just really like resonated in my mind, I guess. In the end, beautiful song.
Oh, so good.
And then I actually have a favorite that Noah doesn't agree with at all. And what did I say it was? Yeah,
you didn't write it down, so I don't know what you were gonna say. Well, while she's thinking on that, I will I wanted to say that all being said, while we've highlighted 4 of the 10 tracks specifically, honestly, the whole album's very solid. Just those 4 seem to be, I would throw those in with the greatest Kodaline songs of all time, whereas the rest of them are just the rest of the good ones. I mean, not anything that's bad, per se, just fits in with the good ones. But we do want to talk about our least favorites, and I am running out of storage on my phone, so we'll move that along.
Okay.
You go with your least favorites.
So my least favorite is Care, which is what, the 6th song on the album or something like that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I think it's my least favorite particularly because it sounds maybe not the most, but at least the second most like it would belong on Politics of Living. I'm just not a big fan of like the sounds that are in it. There's a specific noise that really bothers me every time, and it's not really bother, but at the first time I heard it, it sounded like a whoop kind of noise, and it reminded me back when I was a kid, and me and my sisters had like a balloon, like a animal balloon kit, and we had a pump for it. And every time you use the pump without a balloon on the end, it'd make that same exact noise. And if you go listen to Care, it's like very prevalent in the song.
Yeah.
You definitely notice it.
Yeah, totally.
And so that one's my least favorite. The other one that I'd probably add is...
In the evening, or just for the evening, or whatever it is.
The Evening.
The Evening, sorry.
Yeah, it's a very catchy song. But it's just not... It just doesn't really stick with me quite as much as the other ones do. The other ones I can probably cry to for hours, and that one I just want to go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And we disagree on our least favorites. Both of those are not in my top 5 on the album, being as that you already know our top 4. I like both of those, specifically Care. I actually really like something about there's like synthetic trap percussion that actually fits really well, and I actually really like that juxtaposed to the synthesizers and guitars. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, because I feel like I didn't explain why I didn't like Care as much.
No,
it mainly is because of the lyric. I feel like they're just delivered in a very like choppy manner.
Oh yeah.
Just the way that he's singing them, I just don't feel.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's choppy and it's not really put together quite as well as the rest. Anyway, I just don't like the sound of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're good. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm only trying to rush you because we're running out of storage. And we're almost at 18 minutes. I'll just quickly say we do disagree on our least favorites, though. For me, Say Something and what's the name of it?
Spend It With You.
Thank you. Spend It With You are my least favorites. She really likes Spend It With You. Spend It With You to me is just a acoustic boring. It's not really anything that stands out to me. It's got a really nice horn section, which is actually pretty random, being that none of the song has horns until this section, but the brass actually is a really cool solo-esque thing. But besides that, I don't know. It's just about wanting to be with someone. Boring. It is one of the more simplistic songs, and it's just acoustic. It doesn't do much for me. Not necessarily bad, but I would say it's my least favorite on the album. Say Something, like I said,
which I think is the 4th single.
Yeah,
they just announced it.
They're at least if it's not being released as a single, it's being pushed as like this is the next song you should listen to.
Yeah.
But I don't really have much to say about it. It's just not my favorite. That's all.
I like them both. Spend It With You I definitely like a lot more than he does.
But
it might be in my favorites.
Yeah. So we disagree, but ultimately I think we both agree that this is a solid album. I don't think it can match the first two, at least not yet. We're too fond of those first 2 albums, but it's a solid album. It's just a good album.
Up there for me.
Yeah, it's a good album. It's definitely better than Politics of Living, I would say. Despite Politics of Living even not being bad. So what we gotta talk about ratings, and I didn't drop that on you until just now. I forgot to tell you should come up with a rating, so I'll try to come up with mine.
I didn't even know what I rate the first 2. I can compare it.
Well, give a range if you can, at least. For me, I really do like this album. It does still fall into some of the pitfalls that Politics of the Living did, but ultimately great album. I really do enjoy it. It has some of my favorite Kodaline songs. I mean, heck, honestly, I'm thinking a 7.5 or an 8 at least. It's a great album. When I hit 8, that's when I mean it, that it's a great album, and I think it is a great album. So heck, 8 out of 10. What are you giving it?
I don't know. I think I'm...
A range.
I was thinking 8 maybe.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna bump it up to 8.5 though.
Yeah,
I think
you
I
like it
definitely
more
like
than
it
I
more
do.
than you do.
Yeah, you do.
I feel like I definitely like it more. Like, I feel like it's more up there with Coming Up for Air and In a Perfect World than you're willing to put it right now. I think that's, like, very close to where those two are on me.
And I think it could be one that grows on me, because even re-listening to these songs this last time, they've grown on me, because the first listen, I thought it was going to be, I liked the 3 singles okay, some more than others, and then the last 3 songs. So the other 4, I was like, but they've really grown on me quite a bit. So I think that it is going to be one that grows on me, whereas Politics of Living was one that shrunk on me. So ultimately, a great album. I really do enjoy it. Thanks for joining me on
my debut review.
I know. So I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think of this album. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Please go listen to it.
Yeah, go listen to it, or even their first 2 albums,
All of them.
because their first 2 are so good. I mean, I can't recommend those 2 enough. This one I would recommend after you've listened to the other 2, only because the other 2 are so good.
Yeah.
They are like near perfection, if not. Thank you all for watching. And I need to get out of here before my phone runs out of storage. So I will see you guys later. Nice.